Hello friends, gives criticism but can't take it here, bringing you Heroes of the Week, Episode 5. Our up-and-coming hero for this week is Leshrac, who is currently sporting a 54% win rate in pro-level pubs as generally a first-pick support hero. Why is Leshrac good? Well, Atos is an absurdly strong item right now, and it's incredible on Leshrac. It gives him a TP cancel, a soft initiation tool, a setup for Leshrac stun, a kiting tool, and a much needed bit of tankiness, all for a very low cost. To top it all off, it builds from crowns, which can be purchased directly from the side shop, and these items give Leshrac some early game stats that he has desperately needed for so many patches. New Bloodstone is also a great item on Leshrac. It gives him tankiness that he needs due to the amount of stats that Bloodstone gives you, and, of course, the new active. And Leshrac doesn't use anywhere near as much mana as a Storm Spirit, so the nerfs to regen just don't hurt him that badly, whereas the buff to Bloodstone not losing so many charges on death is excellent for him. Edict changes also make Leshrac a beast of a harass hero in the laning stage, which makes him an excellent 4-role hero, even in non-kill lanes. Leshrac has always been a strong hero in kill lanes, speaking of which, due to the fact that his stun is 2 seconds at all levels, and it does 120 damage for only 80 mana at level 1. That is one of the best level 1 abilities in all of Dota. With the meta shifting heavily towards fighting in the early game, due to creep bounties and denies being a lot less important, Leshrac is absolutely in his element in this meta as an offlaner, as a support, or as a mid laner. You can pair him with any other relatively decent kill hero, and it's incredibly difficult to lane against him, even with a tri-lane. This is honestly the biggest reason that I would recommend people learn to play Leshrac right now, because he's good enough that he can be played reliably in any role, in any lane, in any game, so long as you're a decent Leshrac player. Not only that, but he's a hero who has total control over the game, because he can scale to be a core, even if picked as a support, he can push waves, and he has a way of taking towers extremely quickly on his own. So a good Leshrac can take a game from start to finish on their own. How do you play Leshrac? Pick Leshrac for mid, offlane, or 4-role, maybe even 5. Start with your stun in most scenarios, and use it to get a kill, use it to CS, and use it to harass. Start with Edict if you can run somebody down at level 1, usually as a support. Max Edict, and go 2 points in your stun, of course getting your ultimate at level 6. If you can be greedy, you can build into Bloodstone, Travels, Yules, and other luxury items. Otherwise, build into Atos plus Bracers, plus Yules, plus BKB, and just items to make him very tanky. You want to relentlessly push towers with Edict and fight on power spikes, forcing fights with Yules or Atos into your stun. Sit in side lanes pushing and jungling otherwise. How do you counter Leshrac? Pick an anti-intelligence hero such as Nyx Assassin, Anti-Mage, or Pugna. You can also pick a magic immune hero like Juggernaut or Lifestealer, or at the very least pick a hero that builds into an eventual BKB like Ursa. You can also pick heroes that jump on Leshrac and kill him in lane, because Leshrac is very squishy and puts out a lot of damage, such as Phantom Assassin or Juggernaut. Our overrated hero for this week is Grimstroke. So Lich and Grimstroke were the go-to broken supports at the start of 7.20, and as a result, these heroes have both received a plethora of nerfs, and naturally their win rates plummeted in both competitive and pro-level pubs. Lich has fallen off almost completely, but Grimstroke hasn't, despite being nerfed over and over again. And for this reason, Grimstroke will be the first repeated overrated hero of the week. Why is he overrated? Because Inkswell was nerfed 7 patches in a row. Its mana cost has been increased once, its stun duration has been reduced 4 times, its damage has been reduced 3 times, and the movement speed bonus has been reduced twice. This spell was the single biggest reason that this hero was being picked in competitive. There was no support in Dota that offered anywhere near the amount of kill potential that Grimstroke offered in the early game. Throw any hero who wants to get in the enemy's face with the Grimstroke in a lane, and that lane would not just win, but obliterate, period. But with 7 nerfs in a row, this spell does not offer anywhere near the amount of kill potential that it used to. Also, when Grimstroke was first introduced into competitive, the laning meta was exclusively dual lane versus dual lane side lanes with little to no roaming. This is no longer the case. Lanes are incredibly fluid right now. There are tri-lanes into roaming, into dual laning, and a support taking the mid lane while the mid laner farms at jungle. Things have gotten absolutely crazy in the lanes. Unfortunately, this does not favor Grimstroke anywhere near as much as a dual lane versus dual lane meta because he's a weak roamer and only a half-decent tri-laner. The secondary reason that people were picking this hero, or I should say big reason, is because the combos that you can do with the Grimstroke ultimate. And this is, in my opinion, the sole reason that the hero isn't just awful right now. Having 2 Dooms, 2 Fiend's Grips, and so forth will never be strictly bad. This is an innately powerful spell in Dota, and it became far more powerful when the leash mechanic was added to Dota because it gave Grimstroke an additional way of disabling TPs and mobility abilities. However, when you consider the utility of this spell versus some of the other support ultimates, such as a 10-second Fiend's Grip from Bane or a Serpent Wards that just takes your racks from Shadow Shaman, and the fact that both Bane and Shadow Shaman can absolutely obliterate in the lanes in this meta, no matter what the lane setup is, it begs the question, is it worth sacrificing your lanes just to have Soulbind on your team? The answer to this question is, yeah, sometimes, but probably nowhere near as much as we're seeing this hero getting picked in pubs right now. Our underrated hero for this week is Undying, who is sporting a 57% win rate in pro-level pubs. Why is Undying underrated? The biggest reason that this hero is strong right now and has this 57% win rate with over 400 picks in the last 7 days is simple. He's one of the strongest early game fighting heroes in Dota, and the meta is shifting heavily towards fighting to win the lanes and then fighting to secure towers directly after the laning stage, with the team that wins the most fights usually just completely snowballing the other. Why is he such a good fighter? Because Decay steals 4 strength and does 20 damage to the target at level 1. That means the unit effectively loses 80 HP, 0.4 regen, and 0.32% magic resistance, which Undying respectively gains, and then that unit takes 20 damage after that. This is amplified by the fact that when the Decay buff wears off, the Decayed unit keeps their current HP percentage, and Undying gains 4 base damage per Decay stack. So simply put, there just isn't really a hero in Dota that can trade effectively with an Undying at level 1. This, along with the fact that Tombstone is one of the best deathballing abilities in Dota, and the fact that Flesh Golem has been buffed to make Undying simply a walking Phoenix Sunray, makes Undying a huge problem in a meta where you typically recover from bad lanes by taking good fights with your opponents after the laning stage. Not only has the meta been shifting towards fighting, the offlane and 4-role meta has been shifting towards picking heroes that are extremely good for the game or the lane, and then just building them to have utility by picking up a Vlad's, Crimson's, Atos plus Greaves, Solar Crests, and so forth. This sort of picking mentality screams Undying, because there are so many games where he can absolutely devastate a lane as a support or as a core. How do you play Undying? You pick Undying for 5-role, 4-role, or offlane, skill Decay at level 1, always, and then spam the hell out of your opponents with Decay, trying to hit 2 or more people if possible. Hit your opponents with your stolen strength, and kill yourself to the tier 2 if you run out of resources. Slowly but surely, build all of the tanky aura items in Dota. If you're a core, max Decay and Soul Rip with a value point in Tombstone. If you're a support, or a core that's not having a great time, max Tombstone, Soul Rip, and then Decay. Build utility items for support, Burn, Glimmer, Force Staff are great examples. For core, Vlad's Crimson Guard, Guardian Greaves, and Pipe are all great items. If you already have those items on another hero, or you just don't need them in a game, Veil into Aghanims is an amazing build on Undying, especially because his ultimate does magical damage. Fight non-stop. Show up to absolutely everything, and if the game slows down, suicide down lanes and make the enemies chase you around, wasting their time. How do you counter Undying? Pick heroes that love high HP heroes, such as Necrophos or Lifestealer. Pick heroes that can kill Tombstone or benefit from hitting Tombstone, such as Gyrocopter or Phantom Lancer. Pick extremely mobile heroes that love lack of disables, such as Storm Spirit or Ember Spirit. So that's it for this video. I know that Mars has been released into Dota, and obviously he is up and coming. Lots of people are playing it, but I wasn't sure if he's just good because everybody's playing it and it's this new hero that's going to get nerfed. Like there are too many variables, and essentially I wanted to stay away from Mars this week in terms of throwing him into a video like this. But maybe next week, once things have simmered down, we can talk a little bit about Mars in terms of how good he is in comparison to the other pub heroes. But in any case, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in another video.
Hello everyone, and thank you for watching the video. We genuinely appreciate your time and attention spent with us here on the YouTube channel.